bruh. Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No, 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 no. Look at the top of his head.
Oh hey, I was just eating some almonds that I got from Harris Teeter. Normally I get my almonds from Aldi's because I love eating Aldi's nuts. Welcome back, Joe. I haven't gotten a haircut in 2 months because of quarantine, so listen up, motherfucker. I really wanted to like this movie. The Force Awakens, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was pretty safe as movies go, though. I strongly debated on whether or not I wanted to talk about this movie, because as you can see, I don't care about Star Wars. This movie kind of reminded me of that Twitter controversy that happened a few years ago when everybody was wondering whether that dress was black and blue or white and gold. Because there were a lot of good arguments to be had for both sides, but at the end of the day, it's just black and blue. And let me make something clear. If you like this movie, that is totally fine. I love Transformers 4. An alien robot with a sword rides an alien robot dinosaur T-Rex to fight an alien robot whose face sometimes turns into a gun. In a movie, there's something called suspension of disbelief. Basically, I'm willing to accept that an implausible or unlikely thing happened in a movie if it fits the plot well. There are a lot of plot twists in this movie. And for those of you who say, well, if you read the comic book or you know the lore, fuck you. If I have to do homework for a movie to be a good movie, it's not a good movie. Without further ado, honestly, I was on board with this movie for like the first 30 minutes. I mean, just to get all of the things that I like about this movie out of the way, there's so much to like about this movie. The designs are beautiful, the whole graphic design and color scheme fits the entire movie really well. The cinematography is gorgeous, there's lots of intricate shots, the set design is amazing. And I think that's really what bothers me about this movie so much, is that there were clearly a team of competent people working on this film.
Patch him through. This is General Hux of the First Order. Tell your precious princess there will be no terms. There will be no surrender.
These nuts got it!
It does bother me a little bit that they have bombers in space. What benefit does a ship have to drop bombs on a ship instead of just shooting it at it?
Supreme Leader Snoke is making contact from his ship.
Excellent. I'll take it in my chambers. That's what she said!
Now this scene, probably the part of the movie where I was like, this is about to be a really bad movie, isn't it? Fuck this entire scene. Do you guys smell it? You smell that? It's the bullshit coming out of the screen. In this movie, they just take the Force and just slap it onto whatever they can't figure out.
Super strong waterproof tape!
There's like 10 new Force abilities in this movie that are introduced that have never happened in any of the other, like, 8 Star Wars movies before this. Leia Jesuses herself back into a ship after being in space for at least several minutes. There are Force projections and Force FaceTime calls. Luke projects himself over, like, light years. Yoda, like, explodes a tree hut while he's a ghost. Gee, sure would have been fucking convenient for you to do that for Luke when he was freezing to death, Obi-Wan, don't you think? Then there was the Finn and Rose subplot. You could remove this entire subplot from the movie and literally nothing would change. Oh, no, that's not right. One character that had only a few minutes of screen time and got shoved into a trash compactor in the previous movie somehow survives that and then gets into a quick fight after no character connection build-up whatsoever, and then dies shortly afterwards. Then they go to Canto Bight. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad scene, except it sucks. And then they free all the Fathiers, and they're just like, well, fuck these slave kids, I guess. And of course, they recruit DJ. Hey, there's just one guy in the entire galaxy that knows how to do the shit that you gotta do. I bet you this guy in the prison cell is just as good, right? Like, sure, they had to get off the planet, but how the fuck do they know this guy's gonna help them? They spent an entire scene establishing that the only way to get the richest you can possibly get is to work with the First Order.
There's only one business in the galaxy that'll get you this rich.
War.
This dude literally tells them that he only does things for money.
I can do it. But there exists a pre-do-it conversation about price.
They are on their way to the most rich organization in the galaxy.
Good guys, bad guys, made up words. Let's see who formerly owned this gorgeous hunk. This guy is an arms dealer. Made his bank selling weapons to the bad guys.
We recruited a literal criminal that we've never met before inside of a prison to help us and put the entire fate of the resistance in our hands, and he betrayed us? What? It's like this movie is trying to get us to hate these characters. We haven't even talked about the plot line with Poe yet. I mean, come on, guys. We can have our disagreements about whether or not this is like overall a good movie, but there is no way you can justify this subplot. I just don't understand.
That one's a troublemaker. I like him. Me too.
This is when I gave up on this movie. Like, this is the point where I legitimately considered walking out of a Star Wars film.
Someone needs to stay behind and pilot the cruiser.
Why? Bitch, have you heard of autopilot? There is no goddamn way that these ships do not have autopilot. You gonna tell me it takes like 17 people to pilot this shit and not one of them can pre-program a flight path? If you're wondering why things look different, and I'm quite disheveled now, I'm very stupid and life is hard. I forgot to talk about the scene with the hyperspeed kamikaze. I gotta admit, guys, this scene when I first saw it was dope. I mean, come on. The visuals are so cool, but the more you think about it, the worse it gets. Remember when I said in the beginning of the video that I'm willing to suspend my disbelief if that thing fits the movie? This does not fit this movie. You are telling me that there are 8 films before this one that no one thought to do this in? Do you understand what this scene implies? You're saying that there aren't armies of ships that have hyperdrives in them and a droid driving them, and they don't just target what they gotta target, and then you ain't even gotta walk towards the light because the light's about to come to you real quick. People would be stupid not to do this all the time. There's gotta be black markets where they just buy hyperdrive kamikaze droids. I know this scene exists because somebody thought it would look cool and then no more thought was applied. It's just this thought process throughout this whole movie. Wouldn't it be crazy if Finn and Rose kissed? Like, what?
That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate.
No, God!
Saving what we love.
No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I wish I could convey the emotion that I felt watching this movie for the first time. It's seriously like a 12-year-old wrote that dialogue. This girl runs her ship into his ship in front of a giant laser. Do you understand what the strategy was here? She was going to potentially kill him as well as herself in the process of trying to save both of them while standing in front of a cannon. And this kiss, man, it's just...
Salt.
Maybe I'm not involved with the military enough, but I don't know a scenario where you walk out on a battlefield and you stick your finger in dirt and lick it. I know that the reason they did this was to point out that the ground had salt on it, but why couldn't they have communicated this in a different way? I don't know, man. And then Luke shows up. Now, the part that probably garnered the most amount of controversy in this movie is what they did to Luke. I don't have a problem with what they did to Luke. Honestly, it kind of made sense. I think if people watch the prequels for what they actually are supposed to be, in the most interesting portrayal possible.
I don't like sand.
The prequels are really about the downfall of the Jedi. They were basically a religious cult that captured children at the youngest age possible to indoctrinate them. So it makes sense that Luke would turn against the Jedi. This is easily the dumbest part of this film. Oh man, my nephew feels like a real bad guy. I gotta murder him in his sleep. I've heard people make the argument, no, he stopped. He didn't kill him. He wasn't actually gonna do it. But think about that. I have some nephews I don't like. But at no point in my life did I ever pick up a gun, walked into my nephew's room while he's sleeping, and I was just like, Nah. I mean, are you guys thinking about this? Kylo is Han and Leia's son. It's his best friend and his sister. He was going to murder his sister's son in his sleep. Why would they do this? And then Yoda shows up. Bitch, what? Where did he come from? And why does Yoda look so weird? Prequel Yoda looks better than this. What happened to his nose? It's because he knows something. Why is Yoda opaque? In all previous Star Wars movies, all the Force ghosts have been transparent. Also, Force ghosts can affect the real world now? Man, when I watched Endgame for the first time, spoiler warning, by the way, this is an official announcement to tell you that I'm going to spoil the shit out of a movie that you may care about in 3, 2, 1. When Iron Man died in Endgame, that shit affected me so deeply because I watched Iron Man for the first time when I was 11 years old. Iron Man was an iconic figure from the cusp of my pubescent manhood to now, just like Luke Skywalker. And the way he died after 23 movies of buildup was so amazingly satisfying. But when Luke died in this movie, which came out almost the same year as Endgame, I felt nothing. I mean, to give such a monumental character to American culture, even, that kind of a goodbye is so anticlimactic. Because why the hell would you have him show up in the scene if not to save everyone? Oh, that's right. You wanted to subvert expectations. Why? I don't know, y'all. It's just some thoughts I wanted to get out about The Last Jedi. On an uplifting note, holy shit, The Mandalorian is so good. Oh, prequels. Back in the day when Star Wars movies were at least a lovable pile of shit.
I don't like sand.
You know what, the thing is, if you like this movie, you like this movie. I mean, I think that if you think it's an objectively good film, I don't want to say your opinions are bad, but your opinions are bad. Clone Trooper, I hardly know her.